Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. This is the next video in my character analysis series for Brawlhalla. Stick around till the end to hear about entering the giveaway to win community colors, emotes, weapon skins, sidekicks, avatars, or even the battle pass, and voting for the next legends. And if you want to skip all this and get straight into the information, there's a timestamp in the description, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with the release of your favorite legend. In these analyses, I wanted to focus solely on the character's signatures. Light attack combos are covered much more in depth than I ever could elsewhere and function pseudo-comparably for all characters of that weapon class. So I'm not going to be discussing the general neutral of the character with their weapons unless it pertains in some way to their signatures. Firstly, I want to give clear descriptions of the terminology I'll be using. Startup frames are the amount of frames that happen after a move has begun until the first hitbox of the move becomes active. Active frames are the duration of frames that the move contains hitboxes that can collide with your opponent. FAF, or First Actionable Frame, is the first frame available where your character is able to move again after the move has been started. For all of this data, I use the character's jump to display the first actionable frame. Lastly, On Miss refers to the move not connecting with an opponent, and On Hit refers to the move making contact with an opponent.
I'm going to be doing my analysis today on the next voted in legend, Ada. Ada was basically a child soldier implanted with nanotechnology for a baby food corporation. Oh my god, who writes this crap? Ada uncovered their shady dealings with an enslavement initiative, leaked the intel, and dipped to the Miami Dome. Jeez, what an origin story. It's like Discount Ghost in the Shell. But hey, at least her Heat Blast skin from Ben 10 is freaking sick. Ada's weapons are blasters and spear, both of which have been pretty solid in the metagame right now. She's seen some decent competitive results, no insane wins or anything, but some definite high placements in some of the majors recently. She has 6 attack, 6 dexterity, a middling 3 defense, and 5 speed. Her spread doesn't make things easy for her given her low knockout potential, meaning you'll probably want to be running defense stance on her a majority of the time. Her SIGs have been known to be incredibly spammable, and for good reason. Don't worry, we'll get into it. Anyway, do her SIGs complement her gameplay, or are they what's holding her back? Well, let's find out. Let's start with her blasters. Blaster side SIG has 17 frames of startup, active frames from 18 to 22, 25 to 29, and 33 to 43 with an FAF of 59. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Ada fires a series of shots from her blaster, culminating in a large finishing shot. This move has pretty fast startup, a high amount of active frames, and an average FAF. It has really good coverage in front of Ada and is good at catching opponents directly in front of her. The last shot on this SIG frequently will catch opponents thanks to its active frame duration, and can be hard to punish if you're in front of her thanks to its relatively low cooldown. Blaster End SIG has 22 frames of startup, active frames on 23, 30, and 37 with an FAF of 67. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Ada jumps forward, flipping and firing 3 shots from her blasters downwards at varying distances. It's worth noting that if the shots are off stage, they come out 1 frame later at 24, 31, and 38 with the same FAF. It was interesting to me that this move only has 3 active frames. It's literally just 3, which kind of surprised me, but given its coverage and movement, it kind of makes sense. Ada jumps really high during this move, and is still in the air after the FAF is finished, offering her some mobility. It has coverage directly in front of her to punish approaching opponents. Additionally, it can effectively spike an opponent if fired off stage and offers coverage at ledge. It has an above average FAF, but has some good utility, so I think it's a solid SIG. Blaster Down SIG has 16 frames of startup, active frames on 17, 23, and 43 to 58 with an FAF of 82. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Ada jumps backwards, firing a few shots from her blasters and finishing with an absolutely huge blast of plasma energy. The hitboxes on this SIG are enormous. The final hit of this SIG lingers for a while, and the hitbox on it honestly is a bit deceptive, and it's odd because the animation extends further than the hitboxes. I'm not complaining about this though. This move has a lot of FAF, and Ada moves backwards during the move. You'll need to be wary of the gigantic hitboxes whenever trying to punish this move. It has really good coverage in front of her though. Next up is her spear. Spear side SIG has 16 frames of startup, active frames from 17 to 21 with an FAF of 45. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Ada swings her spear forward in an arcing motion. This SIG is really simple and straightforward. It has relatively low startup and FAF, though it's likely due to its small duration of active frames. It's a solid SIG though thanks to its quick startup and range. It extends pretty far in front of her and can catch opponents from deceptively far away since the hitboxes follow the path of the energy trail. It's an excellent punish option and has solid threat coverage in front of her. Spear Neutral SIG has 21 frames of startup, active frames from 22 to 36 and 46 to 50 with an FAF of 75. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Ada jumps upwards, spinning her spear before slamming it downwards. She generates hitboxes as she goes up, as she stalls in the air, and finally on the downward swing. This move has quite a bit of active frames, and if you get caught with any of them, you'll be sent downward, so if it's starting, it's definitely best not to challenge the move head on. It has average startup, but has quite a bit of FAF, and Ada is still airborne whenever you're able to move again, but if you whiff it, you'll be in for a hefty punish. Spear down sig has 13 frames of startup, active frames from 14 to 47 with an FAF of 59. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Ada spins her spear around her several times in a fashion similar to Orion. This move generates hitboxes all around Ada and catches opponents on either side of her. It has the lowest amount of startup on any of her SIGs at 13 frames, which is really fast, and has a pretty lengthy amount of active frames and an average FAF. This SIG has solid coverage thanks to the hitboxes on either side of her. So overall, her SIGs are pretty good in terms of their frame data. All but 2 have 17 frames of startup or lower, and the ones that have more than that aren't much above 20 frames. Each of her SIGs has specific utility to it. On her blasters, however, she doesn't really have a good option for covering space above her, but I suppose her light attacks and aerials can probably cover that for her. Her spear SIGs have good diversity of coverage, frame data, and power, making their utility quite strong in most scenarios, and capable of catching opponents quite well no matter their option selection. They have solid active frames, mixing between lengthy and short burst attacks, though her FAF on most of her moves, with the exception of Spear's side SIG, are average or really high. Honestly, I think that her SIGs are pretty good on her kit. Spear neutral SIG is an excellent SIG for catching jumping opponents at ledge and can be comboed into for early kills. She's got good frame data on most of her moves, and Spear is pretty good competitively right now, and Blaster's downlight to recovery offers a solid kill confirm. She's a consistent character, and I think she's worth your time. And damn, that Heat Blast skin is clean, and I cannot get over how cool the fire animation looks. Today's code to put down in the comments is LaughingMan, along with your Twitter handle, and if you get that reference, I appreciate it. Tune in tomorrow for coverage on the next highest voted legend from this week. Comment to vote for next week's 5 legends. I'll be continuing this once a day, Monday through Friday, over the next 10 weeks until all 50 legends are covered. So, thanks for joining me on this ride. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the release of your favorite legend, and I hope to see you back for the next one. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.